Hey everyone, I'm gonna tell another story today. This is about the time that my friends and I went to Japan, and I lost the keys to our hotel room, so we had to sleep at an internet cafe. And the story gets crazier than you might think. So, a couple months ago, I went to Japan with three of my friends, who I will give fake names. I went with Tony, David, and Sam, and it was probably the best trip of my life. Japan is just one of those places where you think about it and you get nostalgic because the vibe of that whole place is just so nice. And in this specific day, we were in Kyoto, and at night we met up with David's girlfriend Mia, who also went to Japan, but not in our group. But we met up with her, and we planned on doing some bar hopping. So the way we were doing this bar hopping was we would go to a convenience store and then go to a bar and then go to a convenience store to, pregame it, because as you know, Japan convenience stores have that strong zero, which is a drink that has like 10% alcohol, and it costs like $3 for 500 milliliters of it. It's just perfect. If you've ever seen that one Instagram Reels guy, I think he's called Ogu from Japan. He makes hilarious Reels about missing the last train. That's what he's holding in his hand.
Oh shit. Here we go again.
Anyway, we were bar hopping. We do the convenience store and then go to a bar. We did that about like 3 or 4 times, and by the end I was pretty hammered. I was like dizzy, couldn't walk in a straight line. And the last bar we went to was actually a karaoke bar. It was a very small karaoke bar. It was just us. There was 6 of us and the owner there. And we also had a great time there. We played darts against the owner, and the loser had to take shots. The owner eventually ended up winning, so Sam ended up taking the shot for us. I think he actually drank with the owner, which was really sweet of him. And then we did some karaoke, which was super fun. And by the end, it was probably like 2 or 3 a.m. and we decided, we're really tired. We have to get home. So if you didn't know, trains in Japan, like public transportation, doesn't really run after like midnight. The last train probably comes at around like 12:30 or something. So by this time, public transportation is long gone. So we decided, we're a bit drunk. We don't want to take a taxi. Let's just walk home. And it's about an hour walk, which sounds like a lot, but it was actually pretty relaxing. So us four, the 4 people that I went with, we walked an hour back to our hotel. I think David drank like a full 2 liters of water to get the alcohol out of his system. And we had to pee on the side of the road a couple of times, just night Japan things. And there's absolutely no one out at night in Japan, which is also very nice. So we had a pretty relaxing walk. And then we get home to our hotel room, and all my friends are waiting for me to take out the key and open up the hotel door. So I rummage around in my left pocket where the key should be, and I come up empty. I rummage around in my right pocket, nothing there. I take off my backpack. I look around in there a bit more. There's nothing there as well. And you know that sinking feeling in your stomach when you slowly realize that something has gone very, very wrong? Yeah, that was what happened to me in that instant. Because I realized that I don't have the key. It's 4 a.m. and I don't have the key to our hotel room. And I'm like, oh shit, oh, this is so bad. My friends trusted me with this very important item that I now no longer have. So this was terrible for me. Truly damaging to my street cred. So the first thing I think is, wait, okay, my sibling, they know how to pick locks, so I'm gonna try to use their technique to pick this lock, but I don't have any lock picking tools, right? So I take out like a used pen from my backpack. I take out the spring and I try to pick the lock, And obviously that doesn't work. I've never done it before. I'm no expert in that. And by this time, like, all of my friends are like leaning sideways, sitting down on the floor of the hotel, just ready to pass the night over. And know that this is a budget hotel, so we, like, the front desk wasn't going to be available until 8 in the morning because they all go to sleep after like 12 to 8. So contacting the front desk obviously wouldn't work. And then after a while, Tony, always being the realistic one, he's like, you're not going to get the store open. By that time, I was actually bleeding because I actually stabbed myself with that spring. But that's minor details. He was like, you know what? Let's just take a taxi. Let's go to an internet cafe and see if we can spend the night there. And after a while, I finally agreed. My friends did too. So he calls a taxi on Uber, and they take us to the nearest internet cafe, which is about a 15-minute drive away. And let me just say, you can really tell that Japan is a very traditionalist society, because the guy that came to pick us up was dressed in like a full, not like tuxedo, but like very formal outfit, even with a hat and everything. You could tell he takes this job very seriously. And also, each time we'd stop at a red light, he'd take out a clipboard and like note some stuff down. I don't know, maybe he was like shit talking us or something. I'm not sure. But we get to the internet cafe, and luckily there are rooms available there. But the problem is there's only 3 rooms available in the non-smoking section. So this internet cafe has a smoking and non-smoking section. And there's only 3 rooms available in the smoking section. So we have to, who's going to go to the smoking section because there's extra rooms there. And I was like, I was the one that lost the key. I'll take the hit. I'll go to the smoking section, which is a decision that will affect the outcome in the morning later. So I enter the smoking section, and oh my god, the smell there is quite pungent, with smoke in the air, and I'm sure that the night I spent there probably took a couple months of my life off because of that. But anyway, I'm sat there, and it's quite uncomfortable because even though there's a mattress, it's like hard as hell. And suddenly I need to take a shit, and well, in Japan I'm not too concerned about taking a shit because all of their toilets have bidets on them, which are very nice to use. So I go to the washroom, there's a bidet there. I'm like, okay, this is nice. I can do this in peace. And then after I finish up, I click the button on the bidet and nothing happens. The bidet doesn't work. So I'm in the internet cafe and I have to wipe my ass with my own hands in Japan. Oh my god. What a truly horrific experience. And then after I'm done, I'm still feeling a bit unclean down there. And, this is my first time at an internet cafe too. So I was like, they have a lot of like manga and books on the wall. So I was like, why don't I read some of those? And I pull one, and there's just like a barely clothed anime girl on the front cover. And then eventually I'm like, oh my god. So we just went bar hopping, and then I forgot the keys to my hotel. And now I'm at the smoking section of an internet cafe, and the fucking bidet doesn't work, and now I'm sat here reading hentai. Like, yeah, I'm just gonna go to sleep. So, even though the mattress is like really hard and probably stained with cum, I don't know. I go to sleep, and then I wake up. And that's only half of the story. This is where the real shit begins. Because I wake up, and I see a few texts. The first text is Tony saying that he couldn't sleep at all, so he just left early without wanting to wake any of us up. And luckily, he did speak to the front desk at the hotel, apparently, and they gave him a spare key, so he was able to enter in the room. But what he also said was that there was a massive fine, a massive fine for having lost that hotel key. So I was like, oh shit. Oh my god, that's not good at all. And then I was like, okay, well, I have to get back to the hotel first, right? So if Tony's back there, where are Sam and Daniel? So I look around a bit, they're not around. And eventually, my time slot at the room is almost up. So I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna go back to the hotel and gather my bearings there. So I grab an onigiri from the nearby convenience store. I set a course for home, and this is a 45-minute walk back to the hotel. And I'm not gonna lie, it was actually a very nice walk. It was cloudy but not too overcast. You could see a lot of beautiful scenery in Kyoto. So this was a nice refresher after the night spent at the internet cafe. But halfway through the walk, I get a text from Mia, which, as you recall, is Daniel's girlfriend. And she actually didn't know about this. And I was like, wait, wouldn't David have told me about this? So I was like, okay, I better fill her in. And by the end, she was like, oh my god, like, are you sure, like, David and Sam are okay? And I'm like, I don't know, their phone must have run out of battery or something. And then 3/4 of the way through the walk, they finally text the group chat and they were like, yeah, our phones did run out of battery. So all three of them were back at the hotel, and after a while I reach the hotel as well, and that's good, we reunited. But there are still two things that need to be done. First of all, what happened in the morning, right? Because like we kind of left in three different groups. First it was Tony, and then it was Sam and David, and then it was me. Like, what happened that we split up like that? And apparently, when Tony left, the front desk guy took note of that. And then when Sam and Daniel woke up, Daniel was kind of pissed at Tony because Tony didn't tell anyone that he was going to leave, so he basically just ditched us. But anyway, they were like, okay, we should go back to the hotel. Where's Leo? That's me. So they asked the front desk guy, and the front desk guy tells him, oh, yeah, Tony and Leo, they left together. And I was like, what? That clearly did not happen. Was there like a fat guy and skinny guy that also left at the same time that they mistake for us? Like, what? How do you get that mixed up? And apparently they even looked around for me too, but that was in the non-smoking area. I was in the smoking area, so they didn't think to look there. So eventually they just assumed that we actually did leave together. And the crazy part is their phones were out of battery. So when they left, they literally had no idea how to get back to the hotel. And somehow through the process of like talking to locals who like barely speak any English, and we don't speak Japanese at all, somehow they managed to find their way back to the hotel, which is absolutely crazy to me. So that's what happened there. And then the second point was, what do we do about like the supposedly massive fine that the key has? Because I did tell Mia about that massive fine, and I was like, could you please, since you guys live closer to downtown, your guys' place is closer, could you please maybe help us look for the key maybe? And they were like, oh yeah, but that'll have to wait till tonight because we're like 3 hours away at a random fishing village. And I was like, oh my god. And then I looked it up. I was like, how much do people usually pay for like a lost hotel key? And the prices weren't that massive. So I was like, Tony, are you sure that this fine is going to be that large? And he was like, yeah, that's what the receptionist, like the front desk person, made it seem like. So I was like, okay, no, I'm going to ask them myself, okay? So I go down, I asked the receptionist, like we lost our hotel key. How much exactly do you think this is going to cost us? And she told me, yeah, you might have to pay a 1,000 to 2,000 yen fine. Okay, and if you go to the currency conversion, that's $10 to $20. $10 to $20. How is that a massive fine in any world? So I go back up and I tell them, and then Sam's reaction to this was so funny. He gets out of the shower, he walks up to Tony, and he's like, wow, Tony, $20. That's so expensive, man. And then, yeah, at the end, everything works out fine. Like, we pulled together some coins. The price literally just ended up being 1,000 yen, which is about 10 Canadian dollars. So that's what we paid. and everything ended up working out. I told Mia, like, you don't need to do this anymore. The fine was not massive at all. We got trolled by Tony. But yeah, that's what happened when I lost the hotel key. And in my defense, okay, the original hotel key they gave us was attached to this very smooth, long block of wood that I put in my pocket. And it was the only thing that slipped out of my pocket. I had like 4 other things in my pockets, and none of those slipped out. It was just because of the friction. And like, I know that I should have put it in my backpack or like a zipped pocket, but that's just crazy. Like, if the key had not been attached to that block of wood, I would not have lost. There was no chance that it could have fallen out of my pocket. But that's just some hard cope, I guess the moral of the story is, if you have an important item, don't leave it in your pocket while you're drunk and you can't walk in a straight line. I guess that doesn't need to be said anymore. To this day, I still don't know where the hotel key went, but my number one suspicion is that in that karaoke bar we went to last, I was like slumped in a couch, and the hotel key must have fallen out then. And since the karaoke was still allowed, I probably didn't notice anything. So that's my theory. But yeah, that was the story of how I lost my hotel key in Japan. And let me know in the comments if you like this video, if you want to see more. Well, you guys actually don't have a say in that. I want to post some more stories soon. Also, if you're wondering what the game I'm playing on screen is, it's called Ultima Missile Wars. It's a game that I've been working on since around 2022. The IP is in the description if you want to play it. Anyways, that'll be all. Thank you for watching.